Hey there. You're listening to America's Voice Now. This is our third and final segment of the morning. Thank you for spending your time with us today. We appreciate you. Hope that you learned something informative, that you gathered a little education together, and that you feel like you've learned something. Hopefully you'll do your due diligence, go out there and educate yourself further, inform others and within your circle of influence so that you're making sure that you're putting that knowledge to its highest and best use, and that you are influencing others to be motivated and take action where necessary. Our goal is always to educate, inform, motivate, and activate. And we do that by sharing with you ideas, principles, concepts, and giving you the information and the news that the propagandist mainstream media will not. That's the difference, folks. We make sure that you're fully informed about what's going on around you, and we do it in a no-holds-barred manner. I'm not going to stand here and try to be politically correct. In fact, I work to make sure that I'm not politically correct. I think the days of standing here in silent acquiescence to a government out of control are over, state and federal. And I believe that it is our obligation and our duty to step up to the plate and hold these folks accountable. They work for us, after all. Go ahead, caller. Welcome to the show.
Yeah, I just wanted to know what you were going to say about ACLU.
About the ACLU?
Yeah, I heard you say the ACLU, and then you never said what it was.
Because
I'm curious what they're into.
My brain runs faster sometimes than my tongue can operate, and so. Okay. But thank you for the call. I will tell that story right now. The ACLU has deep concerns over military weapons that are being utilized by local police, including, and this is a story from CBS News in St. Louis. So the American Civil Liberties Union wants to know what kind of military weaponry and tactics are being turned over to local police forces by the Department of Defense and Homeland Security. Now, this just ties into all the stuff I talk about every single day. But even the ACLU, who is normally not deeply concerned with gun rights and things like that and government overreach, is beginning to prick up their ears to this. The ACLU feels like the surplus equipment, things like flashbang grenades, shock cuffs, and tracking devices that are being handed down are leading to more aggressive policing, especially in poor neighborhoods and neighborhoods of color. John Chasnoff with the ACLU of Eastern Missouri describes an incident that happened in Michigan. A SWAT team threw flashbang grenades into a house. Then the SWAT team rushed in. They got confused and then ended up killing a young girl who was sleeping on a couch. The ACLU has made a public records request for information from major city police departments across the United States, including St. Louis and St. Louis County. They also want to find out what kind of equipment is being turned over to the Missouri National Guard. This is his quote. We do know that in 2011, $500 million of surplus military equipment went to police departments, says Chasnoff. We have concerns that the lines between the two, police and military, is starting to blur. He argues that the trend is eroding civil liberties. Mr. Chasnoff, I applaud your interest in this area. I thank you for speaking out. I thank you for being deeply concerned and publicly announcing your concern, because it, along with all of the other information that we have, and that is, no matter how hard they want to squeeze the rock, folks, this stuff is starting to seep out into the mainstream. No matter how hard they try to suppress and censor the information of what is being done to our nation, this stuff is seeping into the public environment. It's leaching in, and people are learning and finding out that all is not right in the kingdom. The problem is that a lot of folks feel it ought to be a kingdom and not a republic. Now, when we've got law enforcement that is being handed military equipment, they're going to use it. That's not what law enforcement's job is. Law enforcement is not supposed to be a domestic military organization. They are supposed to be preserving and protecting the peace, not destroying the peace. And when you've got a little girl in Michigan who is shot to death because she's asleep on a couch, and these guys went in all hell-bent for leather like they were a SWAT team or like a SEAL team, there's something desperately wrong there. What I'd like to know is exactly what is it that they entered that house for? I mean, was it really in an exigent circumstance, or was it something as simple as a warrant to be issued? That's the real problem here. Our law enforcement agencies are gathering military gear and training, and they are using it against the populace for the most ridiculously asinine nonsense because they have it and they train for it, so they want to apply it. And that's the natural tendency of human beings. Once you've learned a skill, you want to use it. And these guys and girls are learning military tactics, and they're using them on civilians. There's something desperately wrong with that. The Cato Institute has a book out there, which I've read, and in it they give you literally hundreds, and I do mean hundreds, of examples of law enforcement agencies who, through their SWAT teams, have gone in and raided homes, killing people. And I'm not talking about a few. I'm talking about hundreds and hundreds of American citizens are dead. The vast majority of them totally innocent. Who, when these guys kick down their door, either stand up and are shot mistakenly, or, not knowing that they're law enforcement, stand up and try to defend their home and are gunned down. Now, we're talking about hundreds of Americans. And I'm going to tell you something. The number of incidents in which they were actually in the wrong home is stunning. And I do mean stunning. Half the time, they kick down the wrong door. They go in there and they destroy the home. They kill people or shoot people within the home. And then they realize later on that they had the wrong address. They're not even doing their due diligence and homework. I want you to do your due diligence just to talk about stories. These guys aren't doing due diligence, and they're kicking in doors with fully automatic weapons and military hardware. Something's wrong, folks. There's a guy on a Facebook, he put up a thing. This is a scary prospect. How did law enforcement gain these aggressive new powers and armored equipment? And then he's got a little conversation that he types out. Patriot. Do you mean the powers we've been talking about since the FBI slaughtered the Branch Davidians at Waco? ACLU. Hey, where did you come from? Patriot. Well, I've been here for several years. ACLU. Oh, yeah, but those were right-wing religious fanatics with guns and allegations of child abuse. Patriot. We didn't hear your team throw a hat into the arena for the sake of the children or for the women either. ACLU. Those children are probably better off, and the rest made their own choices. Patriot. So, tell me, just why is it you're so concerned about this new weaponry in the hands of the local police? Your answer parroted law enforcement's responses during the aftermath of Waco. ACLU. But, Patriot. But what? Selective Civil Liberties Union doesn't have the same appealing ring to it like American Civil Liberties Union? What happens when they come after you for their perceived notion that the ACLU is obstructing justice? Oh, and by the way, I noticed you finally see the large bald eagle sitting next to you. Yeah, but when he comes into the room, I don't recall hearing the door close, says the ACLU. Patriot. He was here when I arrived. His name is Freedom and Liberty. The rest of us can't get him to stop crying. Any suggestions? ACLU. Rest of us, hey, how do you make your friends appear out of thin air like that? Patriot. They were the ones who brought freedom and liberty here to protect. Their heart's desire is to release him back into America once again. So, folks, the simple reality is this. We have organizations and groups out there who need to be defending us against these types of intrusions on our liberties and our rights of privacy, life, liberty, private property, ownership, and the pursuit of happiness. That's why government exists, for no other reason. They are here to do one thing and one thing only, and that is defend our right that have been delegated to us and given to us, not by government, but by nature and nature's God. Good morning, Mr. Kinder. How are you?
I am great. Thank you for having me, Dave.
Well, thank you very much for joining with us. I appreciate it. So
My pleasure.
I met you at the Firearms Freedom Symposium in Springfield, and
Yes, sir.
I was very happy to see you come out there because you really opened up a lot of eyes and ears to what's going on with this RealID thing and how our government is basically violating the law that we have passed as a state to prohibit the RealID Act from implementation in Missouri.
Yes, what a great event the Firearms Freedom Symposium was, and 1,000 or more lovers of liberty from all over southern Missouri. I met one family from Arkansas, too.
Isn't that outstanding?
And so all credit to the Ozark Property Rights Council for convening that and bringing in some fine speakers like Sheriff Mack and others.
Sure. I'm excited about Mack coming here to do his next Constitutional Sheriffs and Peace Officers Convention.
He is?
Yeah.
When is that? I didn't know about that.
He mentioned it at the very tail end. He's going to be doing the next Constitutional Sheriffs and Peace Officers Convention here in Missouri. And I think he said there was going to be two parts to it. One in St. Charles that was for law enforcement only, and then another one at another location, and I'm not sure what that was. I don't recall.
Right.
That is going to be held where not only law enforcement can attend, but also the public. And we're going to take a quick break, so I'll ask you to just stick with us here. But the cool part about that is that it gives an opportunity for every sheriff in every county in the state to attend that. And there's some lessons that our sheriffs could really, really learn from that CSPOA.org. So if you'll stick with us, Mr. Kinder, I will just jump to a quick break here. And when we return, if you could give us an update, I would be very appreciative. Thanks.
Yes.
Hang on one second. Folks, we'll be right back. You're listening to America's Voice Now. We have with us Lieutenant Governor Peter Kinder.
We believe the better the ingredients, the better the taste to bring to you the greatest tasting pastries possible. At Chantilly's Artisan Bakery, we use organic, locally sourced, and natural ingredients of the highest quality. Every item is handcrafted and baked fresh for you each and every day. Visit Chantilly's Artisan Bakery, number 2 Evans Arcade on the Courthouse Square in downtown West Plains, or call 255-2253, and you'll be glad you did.
There's one man on this earth who really, truly gets it.
Health insurance today is not taxed. Obamacare taxes it. It doesn't tax you, it taxes the provider. The provider cannot swallow $100 billion in new taxes. But Obama and his law seek to conceal this from you. So already there's upward pressure on your policies because of all the freebies that are going to be handed out.
Weeknights from 5 till 8, Mark Levin on the Ozarks Best News Talk 107.1.
All right, we are joined again this morning by Lieutenant Governor Peter Kinder. He has been instrumental, along with Stoddard County Prosecutor Russ Oliver, in filing a lawsuit with a private citizen against Stoddard County's fee office for attempting to institute RealID in violation of Missouri's prohibition signed and passed in the Assembly back in 2009. So, Mr. Kinder, can you give us some sort of a brief update on where that stands?
Yes, thank you, Dave, and I appreciate this opportunity. Monday morning, Russ Oliver went to Stoddard County Circuit Court in Bloomfield in the Bootheel with a plaintiff. That is, the person who would complain about the infringement of his liberty and sign a complaint and be the plaintiff in a lawsuit. That is the person who brings the lawsuit.
Sure.
The lawsuit, well, let me back up and just set the scene on how we learned about this. The local Department of Revenue fee agent said that people had appeared in his office from the Department of Revenue and had undertaken to install new computer hardware and software that looked to be expensive. And when they were inquired about what was going on, they said, well, this is so we can transmit the individual data to a private vendor. He said, where is the private vendor? The answer was in Atlanta, Georgia, and also transmit it to the Department of Homeland Security. The local fee agent, who is a holdover from the Blunt administration, was alarmed when she heard this. She reported it to the prosecuting attorney, who researched it and believes that it violates two separate statutes on the books that you referenced a minute ago.
Yes, sir.
Those are 32.091 of the revised statutes of Missouri, and also 302.183, where Missouri opted out of this RealID data sharing
right.
with the feds.
I actually call that nullification.
Yeah. We went into so our plaintiff goes into Stoddard County Circuit Court asking the judge for a declaratory judgment that as a matter of law, this violates Missouri statutes, and two, asking for a temporary restraining order on Monday morning against the Department of Revenue Fee Office proceeding in this manner.
Mm-hmm.
And the judge, by the close of business Monday afternoon, granted us the relief we asked in
right.
the form of a temporary restraining order. Now, it was only against that one fee office and two other fee offices in his judicial circuit.
Right.
We are looking for other, so we won. We were victorious in round one. We are looking for other citizens of Missouri who will go in and do like our plaintiff did in the boot heel. There's no reason why we couldn't have a dozen more of these lawsuits.
Hey, I'll do that. I'll go down in there and try to renew my license Monday morning if you want another plaintiff.
Yeah, let's do it, and we'll get you the form, the complaining form that says you believe your rights have been infringed. We believe your rights are being infringed. This, by the way, over the course of the week, we really, really lit up the state representatives and state senators.
Right.
They really got on this. If they were not tuned in before, I guarantee you they are now.
Right.
I attended a briefing with close to 20 state representatives from all over the state on Monday evening, at which we briefed them on this, and there was one state senator there. And another state senator from a different part of the state told me he had 500 emails by Wednesday afternoon, and ordinarily you might get 6 or 8 or a dozen.
Right.
On this subject. So an overwhelming response from the grassroots. Now, let me tell you what is in motion. 3 things are coming that will push this story along Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday.
Okay.
The Department of Revenue, director of the Department of Revenue, is coming before, he's being summoned before the House Committee on Government Accountability. This is a big event on Monday at 12 noon. House Hearing Room 1 in your state capital.
Right.
This state capital and all these public offices belong to the people, not to the individuals who occupy those offices.
Of course.
Our Constitution, we can't say often enough, begins with the words, we the people.
Mm-hmm.
And our government was created, as you said, to guarantee and secure our rights, not to order us about.
That's all it exists for.
And so, I'm hopeful that some of your listeners might take the time to come up to that hearing.
Okay. Can we submit witness forms like we normally would for a bill?
Yes, you can.
Okay.
It is a bill that's being heard, and the bill is being introduced in response to this story.
Ah, okay.
It is House Bill 787, introduced by Representative Todd Richardson, who's from just east of you in Poplar Bluff.
Sure, I know.
In Butler County. Great guy, and probably a future Speaker of the House. Todd Richardson introduced House Bill 787. That's the subject of the hearing. But in the course of that hearing, the Director of Revenue is being summoned back before this committee to explain himself and answer a whole bunch of pointed questions.
Okay.
That's on Monday at noon in the basement of the Capitol House Hearing Room 1. Now, on Tuesday morning at 9 a.m., we have our hearing before the judge in Stoddard County.
Right. That's to make this TRO permanent, number one, the temporary restraining order permanent, and then
that's
two.
Our request. That's our request of it.
Okay. And do you need additional? Do you need a plaintiff in every county? Is that how it has to happen?
No, I don't. I would just like to get more of these lawsuits filed.
I understand. Okay.
2 is better than 1. A dozen is better than 2. You know.
Sure, of course. And the more plaintiffs you have, the more noise you can make about it.
And by the way, we are the ones here in Missouri who lit the prairie fire. I mean, we Missourians are.
Yes, that's true.
This is happening in state after state, and as of yesterday, after some national publicity, it hit the Drudge Report on Thursday midday. Glenn Beck has had this on the Blaze.
Right. Well, there's 41 states that are actually in compliance with RealID, and they are blithely going along, like blind sheep to the slaughter on this RealID thing. And Missouri is one of the only few states that actually opted out of it with legislation in 2009.
Apparently, Attorney General Greg Abbott of Texas is alerted by our action this week. Is diving in to find out what's going on in his great state.
I'd like to see the individuals responsible for what's obviously a very clear and blatant violation of state law held criminally accountable. And I don't know what the process is for you to evaluate that. I'm sure we have to prove the case first that they are actually subverting or doing an end run around the 2009 prohibition. But if they are doing that, then there should be criminal charges held against those people.
There is always time to do that, Dave. We're proceeding with the civil action now.
I understand.
And as a teacher of mine used to say, little steps for little feet.
Sure, I get it. So, but we need to make sure that.
Let me finish on the sequence of events coming Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday. Tuesday, we go into court. That will be the first hearing on the merits beyond the granting of the temporary restraining order. And so that will make some more news. And I think it'll probably hit the Drudge Report again. Hitting the Drudge Report is huge.
Yep.
Because when we got our article up there Thursday midday out of the St. Louis Post-Dispatch website, they were getting 60,000 hits an hour.
Yeah.
Nationwide and worldwide on that story. Okay, now, then Wednesday, there will be action in the Senate. And if any of your listeners are taking notes, they should know that bright and early, 8:30 Wednesday morning, the Senate Appropriations Committee is focusing on this issue by hauling the director of the Department of Revenue back before them for this purpose and for no other purpose than to answer questions on this subject of infringement of our rights. They had already finished with the Department of Revenue budget. So it is an extraordinary act that they're calling him back before. Now, I can tell you that at least one member of that committee believes he has been lied to. So here's another aspect of this, Dave. I am looking, I don't know if there are any listeners within your listening area who work for the Department of Revenue. Or perhaps there are some who work at a local fee office, Shannon County.
Sure, Howell County, Shannon, Ozark, Oregon, etc.
Oregon. And
are you looking for?
We want to appeal to those good people, because there are a lot of good people in the categories I just mentioned, to be whistleblowers.
Okay, we've got to take a break. I'm going to ask you to just hang on for 1 second while we do that. Folks, you're listening to Lieutenant Governor Peter Kinder, who's giving us an update on the RealID issue. You're listening to America's Voice Now. My name is Michael Evans. I'm your host. We'll be back in just a moment with more information on this and an appeal to those folks who might be involved in the DOR offices themselves. Hang on for a minute. We'll be right back.
Fox News Radio, I'm Lillian Wu. The Taliban says it's sending a message to the new U.S. Defense Secretary who's visiting Afghanistan. A pair of deadly suicide bombings, first in Kabul outside the Afghan Defense Ministry, then at Khost at a police checkpoint. Chuck Hagel there to visit troops, President Karzai, and assess the situation. Colorado's most sweeping gun control package in recent history, advancing to the state legislature minus two of its most controversial pieces. Meanwhile, we're learning more about the accused in the Colorado movie massacre.
Court documents reveal that last November, James Holmes was transported to a hospital psychiatric ward where he was held, often in restraints, for days. His attorneys write that this kind of commitment occurs when a designated professional considers a person to have a mental illness and is a danger to himself and others.
Fox Radio's Jessica Rosenthal. Fox News. We report, you decide.
Thanks to our friends over at Ozark Mountain Self-Reliance. You can reach Brian down there at 870-492-4030. It's located a half mile east of Walmart on 3225 Route 62, Mountain Home. My dear friend Mary over at Chantilly's Artisan Bakery, the best damn bakery in 100 miles. She's located at number 2 Evans Arcade, and you can call her at 255-2253. My friends over at Pizza Hut on Porter Wagoner Boulevard. They have an outstanding lunch opportunity. You can, from 11 till 2, and you can have salad and pizza, something tasty and something good for you. Our friends Bill Stone over at Stone Construction at 293-0116. If you're considering doing any kind of remodeling, new or custom construction, and or light commercial, give Bill a call and let him bid on your next project. Our friends Batteries at the Battery Station at 303 Washington Avenue, 417-257-7799. They can be found at thebatterystation.com. Our friends over at West Plains Pawn and Gun, an outstanding opportunity with 400 firearms under glass. You can reach them at 417-256-3000, and they are located at westplainspawn.com. Located physically at Highway 160, about a mile past Walmart on the right-hand side. And finally, the sponsor of our phone lines, Wits End Classic Barbershop, located on the square in West Plains. Best haircut you can get for $10, and a nice young man as well. Please visit and support our sponsors.
Having difficulty with your computer? Do you think it has a mind of its own? Well, don't be alarmed. This happens to everyone at some point in time. Worry no more. Computer Dave and Kyle can help you out with PC Geeks, a weekly show right here on 107.1 The Point. Tune in Thursdays at 1 o'clock to ask computer-related questions and listen to the web topic of the week. That's PC Geeks here on 107.1 The Point.
News Talk 107.1 The Point weather sponsorships are available for your business marketing plans. Contact Cody or Josh at 255-2548 for more information.
From the Point Weather Center for this morning, partly sunny skies, high near 63. Winds could gust as high as 26 miles per hour. Later on, periods of showers, possibly a thunderstorm, a low around 51. Winds could gust as high as 22 miles per hour. I'm Dawn James, and for more information, visit my1071thepoint.com.
The media is destroying itself, and they're destroying our country and our children's future at the same time. You cannot exist as a free people if you cannot reason for yourself. You cannot exist as a free people if you don't know how to critically think. You cannot exist as a free people if you have a corrupt press. You cannot. It doesn't work.
This is the Glenn Beck Program.
Weekdays from 2 to 5, it's Glenn Beck on the Ozarks Best News Talk 107.1.
All right, folks, we are back. We are discussing with Lieutenant Governor Peter Kinder the issue of Missouri trying to implement RealID, even though we have a state legislative initiative that was passed in 2009 to opt out or nullify RealID here in the state of Missouri. And so, Mr. Kinder, I appreciate you sticking with us through the break for this segment. We started to talk about putting a call out there to our listenership and our audience for anyone who might work at a DOR office. Is that correct?
Yes, Michael.
Okay.
I am looking for good citizens who work for the Department of Revenue or who work for the local fee agent office to come forward and tell us what they know about what we're talking about here, about the violation of Missouri statutes against RealID
Okay.
about the illegal sharing of this data with third parties, and one of which is the Federal Department of Homeland Security.
Right.
We are looking for good citizens in those two categories, or anyone else who has knowledge about this, to come forward and be a whistleblower. And I'm telling you, we will protect these people with our power in the legislature, with our 2-to-1 majorities in both houses.
Okay, and I think that's an important distinction, and I appreciate you making that clear to folks that you'll be willing to stand up and do the right thing by them if they're willing to stand up and do the right thing for all of us.
Yes, indeed, and it's the governor who has to answer for this. He's hiding now, Michael. I wrote him a letter. I wrote him a letter on Tuesday asking for a meeting, and he rejected the meeting out of hand.
It never ceases to, and you're the lieutenant governor, which strikes me, that would be the equivalent of a president/vice president relationship-wise, right?
That's what it is on the state level.
And then, for all intents and purposes, he doesn't consult you. He doesn't give you an opportunity to have any input in what's going on in his decision-making process. I find that, abhorrent, and quite frankly, it's completely against the principles of government. And the elected or the electorate, concept of putting people in power to make decisions on our behalf. But you can't make decisions if you can't be involved in the ideas and the discussions.
Correct, but this governor behaves more like an emperor than a temporary custodian of an office that belongs to the people in a self-governing republic.
Well, unfortunately, I think we're stuck with him for a while.
We are, but you know what? He can't hide forever.
True. And if this thing results in...
He will be accountable one way or another.
And, of course, as this thing makes national news and we start getting some activity and some investigation going on, he's going to have to at some point come forward and say, hey, this is what I knew or didn't know, unless they try to do the equivalent of a federal government Benghazi thing.
Correct.
But at some point he's going to have to stand up and face the music here, and wipe the egg off his face on camera, hopefully. But the real issue here is that, and by the way, my listenership is very, very well informed about this RealID thing, because we were talking about this with Bob Parker a month and a half ago, and we had suspicions that it was going on, and we were having difficulty proving it. And this is before the new cameras and the new information was being installed in these DOR offices. And we've been keeping our listenership informed about this all along, and we're very, very pleased that you have taken the stand as a public servant to step up and say, this isn't about career, it's not about me, this is about you, and I'm going to do the right thing as a representative in office. So I applaud you for your efforts. Thank you.
Well, thank you and for having me on to help get the word out, Michael. And I will say that we really think that the eyes of the nation are on Missouri on this, and that we can once again, as we were on Obamacare, on saying no to the invasion of liberty on Obamacare, we can be in the vanguard here, the first in the nation. Of sounding this alarm, and I say all credit to people who've been out there like you, sounding this alarm before.
Well, what's really and part of the thing for me is that we have a project here called Restore Missouri, which it was too long for me to give you the inside scoop on here. But what I really like about this is that Missouri is in the vanguard. We're the tip of the spear on this issue, and Missouri's not first in a whole lot of things right now in terms of revenue and job creation and those types of things. So this gives us an opportunity to stand independent and sovereign and declare our state sovereignty and say, listen, you guys can do whatever you want out there in Washington, but there is some stuff that we say is extra constitutional, and we're not going to do it here. And, this kind of thing on RealID and violation surveillance, I love that drone bill that Guernsey's got out there right now.
Yes, Casey Guernsey.
Yeah, that drone.
Casey Guernsey is a state rep from Northwest Missouri, and I spoke with him yesterday afternoon.
Yeah.
And he has a plaintiff.
Oh, does he? Good.
Ready to go. We think we're on the verge of filing another lawsuit in the other northwest part of the state.
I got you. He's the one who proposed the anti-drone rule, which says that if you can't use drones here without a warrant. And I actually want to. I've written a piece of amendment to that, which says that not only can you not use them here, but you've got to keep a database and publicly available on every drone that's in the state of Missouri, and you have to file a flight plan and keep all the evidence that you collect with it, so that somebody can do something about it and have the proof available that you violated their Fourth Amendment rights against the search and seizure because you didn't have a warrant, and that includes the press as well as law enforcement or anybody else who has one. So we're a pretty active group here, and I think you'll find that we're stalwart supporters of you and your efforts in this program, and that this organization and our listenership in general. You won't find a more hardcore group of constituents who will be more than happy to support folks like you.
May I give my website?
Please do.
Yeah. First of all, I've been doing Twitter updates all week on this. I'm approaching 6,500 Twitter followers, and each new follower helps us get the word out more.
Right.
So you may follow me on Twitter. That's simply @PeterKinder on Twitter.
Right.
So my name, Peter Kinder, @PeterKinder on Twitter.
Understood.
You may also like my fan page on Facebook.
Right, which is facebook.com/Peter Kinder.
Yeah, where we have updates that we post on this. And also a link to another radio interview I did with Dana Lash yesterday.
Yeah, I've got that up on our Facebook page.
Oh, you do? Good.
Yeah, sure. Are you kidding?
She's had 2 interviews this week. She is pounding the heck out of this and is going to stay on it. And by the way, I suggested to her that before this is over, she may want to come to Jeff City and do a live remote broadcast from one of the hearings.
Sure.
I'm hopeful she will. She may be listened to in the middle of the day, 12 to 3, danaradio.com.
Right.
And she's a warrior princess on this.
Yes, she is.
And then my official government website is www.ltgov, like the abbreviation for Lieutenant Governor, ltgov.mo.gov. So
Got
it's
it.
ltgov.mo.gov.
Got it. I'll make sure I give all of that out before the end of our show again for those of my listeners who have not got a pen and paper handy.
And when they come to the Capitol, if your listeners would stop by my office at room 224, whether I'm there or not, we'd like you to register your support, come in and visit and get to know my small staff that is fighting for the liberty of Missourians.
Sure. Well, listen, you're in the vanguard on this. Missouri is in the vanguard on this. Let's make sure that we're keeping our nose to the grindstone on this, and we're doing whatever is necessary to make sure that we're prohibiting and limiting this, and that we're also making sure that these facial recognition cameras and the biometric data, that is inexcusable, and it is just this is a national ID under any other name. And it is an absolute violation, not only of those CCW holders, which is a de facto database of firearms owners, but it's also even the non-firearms owners. We don't need our facial recognition packages being sent all over the nation and all over the globe, quite frankly. And yes. I am in absolute disagreement with all of this government surveillance stuff. Enough's enough. We're at, this is like 1984, except we waited till 2014 to put it into play. So I applaud your efforts. I'm very grateful and thankful that you've taken this on as a pet project, if you will. And I think that our listenership is grateful as well. I'll make sure that we do everything in our power to drive some witness forms for this House Bill 787 that's coming up, that we might have some folks up there on Monday afternoon for the House committee hearing and on Wednesday for the Senate hearing at 8:30 in the morning. And
I think that Senate hearing, especially at 8:30 a.m. Wednesday, is going to be a barn burner.
Yeah. Well, by that time, the press will have already picked up the part on the Monday hearing. So
and the Tuesday court hearing.
And the Tuesday court hearing.
It's boom, boom, boom this week, Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday.
I gotcha.
And maybe some of the big newspapers and the mainstream media will awaken from their slumber and begin to cover this.
Thank you very much for your efforts.
You bet.
Hey, listen, I appreciate you calling in. We'll talk to you shortly, and hopefully we get another update in a week or so.
Thank you. We
All right.
will.
Have a great day.
Bye.
Folks, that was Lieutenant Governor Peter Kinder, who is in the forefront here on this issue for this RealID violation. When we come back, I'm going to give you all of that information again, kind of reiterate what we talked about, but make sure that you have the ways to reach out to his office and also be a participant. You're listening to America's Voice now, and we'll be right back.
Breakfast is the most important meal of the day, and the Donut Palace is open at 5 a.m. every day.
The best donuts made fresh daily, like Long John's, Eclairs, Bear Claws, and old-fashioned donuts. Try a hot and fresh bacon, egg, and cheese croissant or a kolache sandwich for breakfast and pair it up with some Starbucks coffee.
Start your morning right with the Donut Palace. And for the busy people, the drive-thru can get you your order even quicker. Located at 914 Broadway in West Plains, the Donut Palace, where the customer is still king.
The area's best selection of firearms, ammunition, and accessories can only be found at West Plains Pawn and Jewelry, your Class 3 dealer for automatic weapons and suppressors, including Gemtech and Huntertown, with a great selection of holsters, slings, magazines, and gun storage options. West Plains Pawn and Jewelry will also do special orders. With new arrivals every week, the area's best selection of firearms, ammunition, and accessories can only be found at West Plains Pawn and Jewelry, 1713 West U.S. Highway 160, or shop online at westplainspawn.com.
Napa Auto Parts in West Plains has this breaking news announcement. If you've got a British car and it quits, if you've got a Japanese car and it quits, if you've got a German car and it quits, come into Napa Auto Parts in West Plains, right across from the Civic Center. They speak automobile fluently. Yes, they do. And may be able to help you find the right parts to bring your car new life. Call ahead to reserve parts, 256-0131, or stop by 311 St. Louis Street, across from the Civic Center.
There is this product on Amazon that is simply going crazy. The banana slicer, almost 2,500 consumer reviews. I've been trying to come up with an ideal way to slice a banana. Use a knife, they say. Well, my parole officer won't let me around knives. Or how about this one? What can I say about the banana slicer that hasn't already been said about the wheel or penicillin? Obviously, just a pure hoax.
Saturdays noon to 3 and weekdays at 7:35 for your Digital Minute. It's Kim Commando on the Ozarks Best News Talk 107.1.
I love Kim Commando, but I'm tired of hearing about the battery or the banana slicer. Okay, we're joined again by a caller who, go ahead, caller. Welcome to the show.
Yes, Mike.
Yeah.
On the same day you had the interview with Mr. Parker, I stopped that morning on the way to the license office in Mountain View, Missouri.
Right.
And I asked them if they were implementing the program. They didn't seem to know anything about the RFID, but they did state they were putting in new computer equipment and that they would have new photographic equipment.
Right.
And they had alluded to the photo identification features.
Gotcha. Did they mention that it was facial recognition compliant or compatible?
No, they did not. They just said it was new technology. And I was
for us hillbilly rubes out here who don't know the difference.
And so I'm afraid I and the lady got into a little bit of a discussion there, and I frankly told her that if this had happened, that we'd be picketing every license office in Missouri. And she told me something a little harsh about that it was a private office and that I needed to go to the main office in Jefferson City.
Now, I think we'll just picket. I don't really give a damn whether she's a private operator or not. If you're going to violate the law in favor of keeping your job and keeping your political gift, okay, then I got no use for you.
So I won't say she used any harsh words as far as her language, but she was.
No, I got what you're saying.
Yeah.
I get what you're saying, but my point is I take the same harsh view upon her that I would take upon the government agent who's instituting this program.
Exactly right.
If you're going to violate our rights so that you can keep your gift of your political crony gift of a fee office, then I'm going to protest you, and I'm going to do it right in your face.
But, I always figured the best way to find something out was just go and ask. And
sure.
I did, and that's what I got.
Gotcha. Hey, thanks for that update. I appreciate you.
You're welcome.
All right, buddy. Go ahead, caller. Welcome to the show. You got minutes left.
Hey, Mike, Rich from Branson. Listen,
Hey, Rich.
I need to get my license renewed. I want to know two things. What's the role in the two witness thing? I don't know if I missed that or not. And also, how do you know they're not doing this behind our back? They're lying to us right there on the spot.
How do we know they're not doing what behind our back?
Sending this information to Georgia and so on and so
Well,
forth.
we know they are. That's why this lawsuit was filed, and there's a temporary restraining order that's barring them from doing that. So we know that they're doing it. We know that they're violating the law. I mean, this isn't optional. We're not wondering whether they are. We know they are.
Okay, so every agency is doing this then?
Every agency, without fail, every county is instituting it and must institute it according to the Department of Revenue, who is their boss. Yep.
Well, I guess I'm back in the driver's license fight. Okay, I got to get a renewal.
There you go. All right. Bye. We'll talk to you soon. Folks, if you are working for the Department of Revenue or for a fee office, then we would like to hear from you. You can send me an email to mike@americasvoicenow.org. That's mike@americasvoicenow.org. Just send me an email with the words fee office or something in the subject line so I know what it's about, and I'll make sure that I get you the right information in reference to who you need to speak to let these folks know in government what's going on by the other side of government, who is betraying us and treating us as if we are basically a bunch of rube peasants who don't have a right to our own privacy. So, and according to Mr. Kinder, you will be fully protected by all the power that the state legislature carries. And that's from the lieutenant governor's mouth himself, so I think you can pretty much be assured that if you drop the dime on these people and you talk about your inside knowledge of what's going on at the DOR or fee offices, that you will be assured of some level of protection. I would like you to communicate with me via email to let me know if that is an option for you. Also, remember that there are witness forms that will be available for this. I'm not sure. There's generic witness forms out there, and if you don't know where to get one, I'll put a link up on Facebook and also on our website about it. But you can just go into any browser and type in Missouri Witness Form. Boom, it'll pop up. Fill one of those out and make sure that you submit it on HB, like Hotel Bravo 787. The HB, by the way, for those of you who aren't familiar with legislative initiative, stands for House Bill. SB stands for Senate Bill. HR is House Resolution. SR is Senate Resolution. And when you see HJR or SJR, that's a Senate Joint Resolution or a House Joint Resolution. And what that means is that the House and the Senate have put those two together. They're working together on the single resolution. Okay, in order to get a hold of Kinder, you can find him on Twitter at the @ Peter Kinder. The @ PETER KINDER. If you'd like to reach him on Facebook, you can go onto his Facebook page at facebook.com/Peter Kinder. If you would like to visit his office, you can do that at the Capitol. It is room number 224. If you'd like to see his website where you can comment or find out what he's up to, you can find that at ltgov.mo.gov. I'm going to give you those call signals. L as in Lima, T, Tango, G, Golf, O, Oscar, V, Victor, .mo.gov. That's his official website. His official office telephone number is 800-699-2377. That's 800-699-2377. Here's the deal, people. If you work in a fee office or if you work in the Missouri Department of Revenue, take this opportunity to stand up and say, I, one person, can make a difference, a huge difference. I can stand up and do the right thing, and I can do it without fear of recrimination or retribution. Hey, you know, I hear people say to me all the time, I'm just one person, what can I do? Well, if you're the one person in this instance, there's a lot that you can do. We're also looking for any individual who would like to be a plaintiff in Howell County. So that means I'm going down on Monday morning. I'm going to apply for a renewal of my driver's license. And when they ask for my documentation, I'm going to refuse, and then I'm going to become a plaintiff. Anyone else want to join me? Ladies and gentlemen, that's called civil disobedience, a peaceful method to redress the grievances we have against our government. And it is important that each of us play our part, do our role, do our best to make sure that we're restoring our republic. You can find our website at www.americasvoicenow.org. You can also find us on Facebook at facebook.com/America's Voice Now. You can also hear this particular episode and every other show that we do up on YouTube, because we post them up there so that it makes it easy for you to find them. If you miss a show, you can get up there and you can catch it later on. You can capture a link off of there and share it on your Facebook page, and we would really, really, really appreciate it if you would do that. You can also send a friend a link that says, hey, here's a video you should be watching. And then just put the address in there, youtube.com/ whatever the address is that's up in your bar, and send that to your friends and family and people that you know and say, hey, you know what? This is a radio show and a guy you ought to be listening to, because we try to educate, inform, motivate, and activate. And you can play a big role in helping this show expand its influence. That's what this is about, people. You know, I would love for this show to be syndicated across a broad swath of America, but it's going to take people like you to make it viral enough that that is a reasonable or acceptable solution for some syndicator. So the only way that that's going to happen is when there's enough groundswell support to make it happen. And that means it's up to you. So you can help us by liking our Facebook page, sharing information and stories that we put up on our Facebook page. I know a lot of you go to our Facebook page because I see the numbers. I see how many people visit it. I see how many people talk about it. There's statistical information that Facebook gives me to let me know these things. So what I want you to do is there's a button at the bottom of every story. It says share. When you click that, it allows you to share that link and that story on your Facebook page for your friends and your family and the people that are your buddies. And share that kind of information, because what that does is that helps build a groundswell of support. That's what's called going viral. And when you do the same thing with our YouTube videos, and I know how many of you visit our website because I see the numbers on that too. I have diagnostic software that tells me how many people watched a video or how many people visited. It doesn't give me your name, but it does let me know that X number of people visited, and here's the pages they went to, and here's the video they watched, and so forth and so on. So I definitely want to help share this information. You can send out links about our Facebook page, our website, our YouTube thing. You can talk to your friends at church and school about it. If you want me to come to your church and speak, or if you've got a civic organization or a group that you'd like me to come to and speak, I'd be more than happy to do that. You simply send me an email to mike@americasvoicenow.org. Let's get out of this model and this mantra of, I can't do anything, I'm just one person. We can all do something, and what we need you to do is help get the word out. How do you do that? You share it with your friends, your coworkers, the people at your church, the people that you work with, the people that you socialize with. I'll help you. Just give me the crack at it. Okay? Our goal is to restore our republic. That's only going to happen when we do it. Remember, there is an important adage. The only thing necessary for the triumph of evil is for good men to do nothing. Edmund Burke. The only thing necessary for the triumph of evil is for good men to do nothing. I'm stepping up to the plate. Are you? Our nation and our republic are in danger. Where do you stand? See you Monday.
News Talk for Missouri and Arkansas. 107.1 KBMV. Birch Tree, West Plains. The Point.
Fox News Radio. I'm Chris Foster. 18 dead in 2 suicide bombings in Afghanistan.